Katipunan Corner, Thinking Rizal. A deep understanding of the legacy of our heroes. The primary objective of the Knights of Rizal, as stated in Republic Act 646, is to study, propagate, and uphold the teachings and exemplary life of Dr. Jose Rizal. This includes inspiring Filipinos to emulate Rizal's values and practices through words and actions. The order also aims to foster patriotism, civic responsibility, and cultural awareness among its members and the broader community. Rizal Blumentritt Friendship. Dr. Jose Rizal, Philippine National Hero, 19 June 1861, 30 December 1896. Ferdinand Blumentritt, Austrian teacher, lecturer, 10 September. 1853, 20 September 1913. In 1886, Rizal traveled to Heidelberg, Germany, where he studied at the University Eye Hospital to specialize in ophthalmology and befriended Professor Blumentritt. He studied at the University of Heidelberg and worked as an assistant to Professor Otto Becker. He also attended lectures at the University of Berlin. He spent his darkest winter in Berlin in 1886 due to financial difficulties brought on by a lack of funds from Calamba, where he could only afford one meal a day. On May 3, 1882, he boarded on Salvadora bound for Singapore, where he was the only Filipino passenger. On November 3, 1882, he enrolled in Universidad Central de Madrid, taking up 2 courses, philosophy and letters and medicine. On June 21, 1884, he conferred the degree of licentiate in medicine. Rizal went to Paris and Germany to specialize in ophthalmology. He chose this branch to cure his mother's eye ailment. Rizal traveled to Leipzig and attended some lectures at the local university. Blumentritt wrote extensively about the Philippines, although he never visited the islands, corresponding with the then Filipino student and writer Jose Rizal, who later became a national hero. Blumentritt's relationship with Rizal began as early as July 1886. Blumentritt became one of Rizal's closest confidants, although they met only once. He wrote his first article about the Philippines in 1879. The article was entitled Die Chinesen auf den Philippines, The Chinese in the Philippines. He translated a chapter of the latter's first book, Noli Me Tangere, into German. He wrote the preface to Rizal's second book, El Filibusterismo. He was against its publication, as he believed that it would lead to Rizal's death. These 2 novels are commentaries disguised as fiction, which angered both the Catholic Church and the Spanish colonial government, and which eventually led to Rizal's 1896 trial and execution. Before the execution, in Manila, Rizal wrote his final letter to Blumentritt. Blumentritt reportedly cried after receiving the letter. Rizal and Blumentritt's friendship began through correspondence, not a face-to-face meeting. Rizal, having read Blumentritt's works and admired his interest in the Philippines, wrote to him, and they began a long-distance correspondence. Their only face-to-face encounter took place in Leitmeritz during Rizal's travels in 1887, where Blumentritt welcomed them at the train station and hosted their stay at the Krebs Hotel. May 13, 1887, 1 p.m. Rizal and Maximo Viola arrived at the station. At this time, he met Professor Ferdinand Blumentritt from Leitmeritz, who became his best friend. Rizal even came to the Czech Republic to visit him. He spent 4 days in Leitmeritz and stayed in Hotel Krebs from May 17, 1887. Initial contact. Rizal, who was familiar with Blumentritt's work and his passion for the Philippines, initiated contact by writing a letter to him. Correspondence. They began exchanging letters, which cemented their friendship, and allowed Rizal to share his thoughts and ideas with Blumentritt. Then another famous work was published in Petermann's Mitteilungen in 1882, and it was entitled Versuch einer Ethnographie der Philippinen, an attempt at an ethnography of the Philippines. In this book he included maps of the Philippines made by Ferdinand Blumentritt, in which he corrected some mistakes. Rizal sent a total of 123 letters to Blumentritt. Alongside Rizal, Blumentritt was a significant contributor to the publication La Solidaridad, published by Filipino expatriates from 1889 to 1895 as a voice for advocacy of political reforms in the Philippines. La Solidaridad, the Solidarity, headed by Gallicano Apacible, was an organization created in Spain on December 13, 1888. Composed of Filipino liberals exiled in 1872 and students attending Europe's universities, the organization aimed to increase Spanish awareness of the needs of its colony, the Philippines, and to propagate a closer relationship between the Philippines and Spain. Blumentritt died in Litoměřice, Czech Republic, on 20 September 1913 at the age of 60. He is memorialized in the Philippines by numerous public parks and streets. Among them are Blumentritt Road, Blumentritt LRT Station, Blumentritt PNR Station, the Blumentritt Market in Metro Manila, and the Blumentritt Street in Naga City and Tuguegarao. This is the Litoměřice train station in the Czech Republic. The memorial to José Rizal from the Philippines. In Litoměřice, Czech Republic, Ferdinand Blumentritt and José Rizal had started a very scholarly correspondence on Philippine ethnography, and the correspondence became more and more communicative. In other words, it was no longer just a correspondence between scholars, but a meeting of the minds of two disparate individuals in terms of geography, but so similar in sentiment. In time, they found their métier and exchanged their philosophies of life, of teaching, of religion, of the colonizers and the oppressed. Universal brotherhood is a close relationship between two or more people who care about and support each other, built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect.